don't mind if I get comfortable. Now, do you? But welcome back to Diagnosing Christopher, and in this one, I'm calling it Introduction to Introductions. And really, why I'm calling it that is I feel the need to sort of explain, and I think that's sort of more so for myself in a lot of ways, but really just to get kind of my voice out there, kind of just really to hear myself about the idea. But I'm gonna start off with the name, sort of the title where I came up with is Diagnosing Christopher. And what I find so interesting about that name is it comes from a place of self-diagnosing. And when I think of it and sort of the character that's associated with it, it's a character of what I would say somebody who is eager to have their story be told, but too impatient to wait for somebody to tell it. And so in return, they tell it themselves. And that's what I mean to do with these videos and sort of the other art I plan to do. And something I like to do is I like to watch a lot of documentaries on different artists, different musicians, different dancers, really just anything and everything, actors. And when I watch them, I can't help but try and make myself or think of myself as sort of the main character in my story. So when I go out in just my normal life, I'm always thinking like, oh, which part will be in the documentary, or like, will this be in the documentary? So I whenever I try and make a decision, I'm kind of always thinking of it as like will this be a changing moment in the documentary, or would this be a changing moment in the movie about me or anything? So I'm kind of always thinking of myself as sort of the main character of my story. I don't know, which could be good or which could be bad depending on what you think, but sort of in this case, I like to think of myself as a character, but not so much as a means of sort of justifying this sense of I don't know, pridefulness, or the sense of, I don't know, just it all being about me. So I don't mean to think of myself as a character for that reason, just to think about myself as it's all about me, but more so of if my passion is creating characters and creating, basically in a way, creating life and putting different stories and putting different situations and different livelihoods. If my passion is to create others, I feel this need to, let me rephrase it. If I care so much about these characters that I'm making, then the most important character that I think about should be myself. And that's why I like to think of myself as the main character in my story, or in my work in progress, I don't know, documentary or movie. Um, I feel as if thinking of myself as a character that I'm writing sort of helps to ease a lot of the pain that I feel, whether that be emotional or physical trauma from the past, present, or future, fears. If I'm thinking of myself as a character, it helps, honestly, to deal with a lot of the pain, because I'm able to think of myself like, oh, this may have happened to me, or this is happening to me, or this hurts, or this is unfair. But I just feel as if I can still create something out of it, as if the hero can still come out of it, or even if he does defeat it, he'll still be remembered. So it's kind of thinking of myself as this character who's going through these troubles, but something good, he has the strength to come out of it, sort of. And this is a good segue to kind of talk about, I don't want to give away everything about myself, and it's funny to say that out loud. But something I believe is you don't want to give away too much of yourself at one point. In other words, don't reveal everything, all your goods, all at once. But yeah, but to go back to what I was saying, was a good segue into sort of my life and sort of how I was raised. I was raised predominantly by women, my mother and my older sisters, and I didn't have, let's say, the greatest or the most consistent male influences in my life. And a lot of these, let's say, a lot of the characteristics I look for in a person who I am hoping to be inspired by, or somebody I look up to, a lot of the characteristics that I look for, they would come from my mother or my sisters, and that would involve just strength, and that would involve, honestly, just sacrifice. And I'll give more details on it through my stories, but this is just more so of a general introduction. I plan on revealing a lot more, but I just want to do it the right way, and that way I'll do it through my stories. But a lot of the people I look up to, if I'm being honest, something I told my mom once was, my greatest heroes are either fictional characters or people I've never met. And that's very true. So now it's starting to make sense, because somebody whose heroes and whose role models and whose inspirations come from a fictional world and come from these characters or these actors or these portrayals, these personas, somebody who is always looking for those things and looking to those things, it makes sense into why or into how the individual would start to begin to think of themselves, or start to want to look at themselves as almost a fictional character. Almost as if that's the only way to achieve the things that he desires, is to be fictional or to be like the fictional. But yeah, this is sort of an introduction to the idea of diagnosing Christopher. And I want to repeat back what I started off with, which was the character Christopher is somebody who is eager to have their story be told, but too impatient to wait for somebody else to tell it for him. So I want to do that myself. But some of the obstacles that he is facing is self-consciousness and fears and anxiety. See, Christopher believes that he can become the next Einstein, the next Picasso, the next Leonardo da Vinci, the next great, worldwide great. He believes that, but he feels the need to try and almost contain himself. And the reason why is still a blur. He's still trying to figure out why, but he has some ideas, and some of the ideas that he has onto why he thinks he contains himself is sort of the fear of having to leave. So for instance, I started going to this new church a couple months ago, back in October, and I made a lot of great friends. But I met them in a time of my life where the mindset that I wanted to have and I was striving for was sort of like a lone cowboy kind of lifestyle. In other words, go where I need to go with my art and then just keep going, moving on. I didn't expect to find a place where I felt so connected and wanted. So then now there's this fear that is starting to grow in him, where it's like he feels the need that he should still keep pushing forward, and the dream to travel the world and the dream to create, but he feels as if he does that, it will take him physically someplace else, and he's afraid by that because he doesn't want to lose or leave behind the great friends that he has. And something that I started to realize is I got so used to being alone. I got used to being by myself that I forgot what it meant, or I forgot what it looks like to have friends or to have people there for you who care for you. I forgot what that looked like. And then when I found it, all of a sudden it's like that's all I want. This is the thing I was missing for so long. Now I'll try to do anything to keep it. And now all of a sudden other responsibilities or other challenges or other thoughts, they seem much more trivial and they don't matter, because it's like now I feel like I need this friendship, this camaraderie. That's what I need. This is what I was missing. And other things, they just blur out. They're just not as important anymore. And that's sort of where I'm at now. Is I think this is a good topic for this one. Diagnosing Christopher 1. This is it. This idea of wanting to keep pushing forward, but this fear of loneliness, this fear of losing somebody, is what's harnessing back. But we'll check in next time for Diagnosing Christopher. This is more so of experimenting with myself to hear what it sounds like. But I'm starting to form an idea in my head, and I like where this is going. So this is Diagnosing Christopher 1, Season 1, Episode 1. But yeah, so I'll leave you with that. Yeah. So peace and decease. Thank you.